my recommendation would be to have balance in your life. You cannot stop your life for study. I saw other courses before, and I was like, no, I don't think it'll work. It wasn't clicking. And I saw the interviews, I saw your YouTube videos, and immediately I could relate to the way you teach. I feel like the P is more important than, for instance, a master's, and that means diet, exercise, good sleep, and then at least for me, I needed the prep course and doing a lot of practice exams. I just went ahead and got your course, and it really helped.
Hello guys, and welcome back to the Genie Interview Series, where I interview Genie Prep community members who have passed the FE exam. Today I'm introducing Andres, a 2008 graduate from Venezuela. After being out of school for 15 years, Andres had the ambition to pass his PE exam, which required passing his FE exam first. Now, despite the long gap, Andres dedicated himself to studying and impressively passed his FE exam on his first try. So if you are uncertain about the FE prep after a long absence from school, then take notes of this interview, because Andres' journey shows that specific goal, hard work, and intense focus can lead to passing the FE exam. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. So Andres, you graduated in 2008. Why did you wait so long to take your FE exam?
I did graduated in 2008. I waited this long because I graduated in Venezuela. So I got to the US back in 2015. And back then, I didn't even know what the FE was. And even for a couple of years, I didn't know what the FE was. So once I got into the industry, I quickly realized how, it was like the industry was screaming like, hey, if you want some respect and credibility, you got to get your PE license. And of course, the FE comes before the PE. That's in a nutshell what happened.
Okay, so you moved here in 2015. You started to hear about the FE when you probably started applying for jobs, because sometimes it's like a requirement, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And
Now,
also, I feel like the PE is more important than, for instance, a master's. I would see, it's required a PE and things like that. So,
right.
it's really valuable.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, like when you look at like job requirements and stuff, I don't think the master's is ever there. It's usually PE preferred. And I don't think that's actually really, this is the first time I realized that. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, correct. I don't know how it is across the country, but down here in South Florida, it's just a PE on top of master's or even PhD.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, because like, with the PE, you have more experience in the field than versus if you go through master's or PhD. Okay,
Correct.
so you moved here in 2015. Now, when did you start preparing for your FE exam?
Seriously, last year, 2022.
2022. Okay.
Before that, it was just on and off. Um, didn't really stick to any plans, or as soon as I would hit like a roadblock, I was like, no, and I would just drop it.
So what made you in 2022 to go like, you know what, I'm gonna take this seriously and I'm gonna sit down and study for this?
I think I came across with their YouTube channel, and I watched some of the interviews from other students, and it clicked because I saw people with similar background, international students, English not their first language, and I was like, hey, there's no excuses, So I just went ahead and got your course, and it really helped.
Awesome. So it wasn't required by your job or anything. It wasn't a requirement.
Not really. I wouldn't say it didn't hinder my career, but
Mm,
you can have a career without your FE if you have the experience and if you're good. You can keep on going. It's just you'll have less opportunities for sure.
right, that's true. Okay, so how many times have you taken the FE?
One.
So you only took it once and then you passed on your first try.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, wow. I saw that and I wasn't sure, so I would just want to ask you again to just double check. That's
This
pretty
guy's
awesome.
lying.
That's pretty awesome. That's really cool because
Yeah.
you
Thank you.
graduated in 2008. You're like you said, you're an international student, so English is not your first language, and I understand that because I'm the same way. English is not my first language, and so and you moved here in 2015, and then you started studying for it. Like it's pretty impressive. Like it's pretty awesome how you passed it on your first try. So let's go ahead and dive into that. So tell us about let's start from the beginning. Was it difficult to start studying again, especially after being out of school for almost 15 years?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, I started with the Lindenberg books, and I think you can see them from here. Um, and I opened them, and the first thing I see is integrals and derivatives. And I remember going through school thinking, I'm never gonna use this again.
Right.
So yeah, as you can imagine, being out of school for so long, and that training in your brain is just like, what is this? It's just like Chinese to me, and like I have no clue what is this.
So how did you get momentum after that? Like what did you do to get back to studying and then to stay consistent, right? Because that's the biggest one when you've been out of school for so long and you haven't studied for so long. Consistency becomes real issue of like showing up every day and really putting in the work. So what are some of the things that you implemented or you did that helped you to study consistently and then also grasp the material?
I think it was the course for sure. It gave me structure. That's how I like to
Mm.
operate. I like things, organized, structured, and that's what I found with your course. I saw other courses before, and I was like, no, I don't think it'll work. It wasn't clicking. And I saw the interviews, I saw your YouTube videos, and immediately I could relate to the way you teach.
Mm. Okay. So you started with book. You weren't processing the information. How long did it take you before you enrolled in our course where you were studying on your own?
A while, I would say a couple of years, like on and off.
Oh,
Studying
wow.
like now this time I'm gonna do it, and watching YouTube videos from other channels.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay. So that kind of like delayed you a little bit because you were trying to study on your own, but it was harder. All the material was everywhere and you weren't grasping as much. So that kind of helped affected your motivation as well.
yeah, absolutely. And I have some friends who are recently coming from Venezuela. That's what I'm telling them, like, hey, just get it done immediately. This is the way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so you get our course. Now was it still difficult to process some of the material? Because like you said, like I could totally relate to what you said when we studied derivatives and integrals. We were all like, I'm never gonna see this again. So I'm just gonna learn this to pass my exam and then move on, right?
Exactly.
So was it difficult a little bit to remember all of that and like almost relearn it, right? For you, it was almost like relearning
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. I mean, I was looking at some content, and I was like, I don't even know if I ever saw this. I can't remember anything. And in the beginning, you don't even know how broad the content is. You don't know what's in each subject. And then after you dive in, then you got to remember so many things. For instance, going back to the integrals example, it might be that in the beginning you can just grab an equation and plug and chug, but then to bring it from that level to how the answer is presented, there's a bunch of steps that I have no clue how to do.
Mm.
Common denominators, completing the square, nothing was clicking back then. Yeah.
Right, right. So what are some of the things that you did that helped you to grasp that material and finally to grasp it and understand it?
Well, I gave it two runs essentially. The first
Mm.
one was 3 months in 2022, and I had a lot of cloudiness in my brain.
Mm.
But I guess I just pushed through the content. And then I had the holiday break. I had to travel, visit my in-laws, and visit my family. But I scheduled the test back in December 2022. And so I said, you know what? Once I come back in January, I'm gonna give it all. And it was much better. I don't know what happened, but it was much better. I was
Mm.
understanding the content. I didn't start from the beginning. I didn't start it in math. I started in fluid mechanics and water resources because it's kind of like my bread and butter. And it worked. It was like, hey, I'm actually understanding this. There's like a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah,
And then I just went completely insane in studying.
that's awesome. It's like finally things were clicking for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what happened is that the first 3 months you were just, getting familiar with the material, right? So like we said, you haven't seen this material for so long, so it's probably buried. So you had to like bring it back, right? And just like refresh. And you probably didn't process as much, but you got yourself familiar with most of the material. And I really liked how you still kind of power through and push through, because I think a lot of people at that point, if they're not processing the information as they're going through the course or their material, they would just give up, because it's frustrating, right?
Yeah.
You're learning and you're like, I'm not learning anything, I'm doing all this thing, but it doesn't seem like it's getting in my head. So what's kept you going and motivated during that first 3 months, like, because you said like when you came back from vacation and you started with fluid mechanics, you finally were starting to see the light, but you didn't in the first 3 months when you were going through the material. So what kept you motivated and going during that time?
I think I just created a habit. It's like, okay, I got to
Mm,
study every day. And I just kept them going. And of course, once you enroll in the course, it's like, hey, you made a commitment back then.
yeah.
So try to stick to it. But yeah, I saw it wasn't going to be enough time for me to keep on going and take the test before the end of the year.
Yeah, I love that. It's like you try to focus on having a habit versus like relying on willpower. So for you, it wasn't a choice, right? Like every day we're gonna show up and study, and that was
Correct.
right in your head.
Correct.
It wasn't like we're not going to debate about this. There's no debate. We're showing up and we're studying, and I think that becomes really powerful. Yeah, because I don't think willpower works that much. It depends on the
Yeah,
situation.
especially
Right.
if you like in your daily activities, you have so
Right.
many, other things that stimulate your brain, and then you gotta, do sitting down and taking a practice exam cannot compete with all of that. You cannot compete with, hanging out with your friends, playing video games. It's simply you're not gonna do it.
Right, right. That's true. And then, I really liked how you took time off. So during vacation, did you study at all? Because sometimes I would have students, they would take vacation, but then also try to review and then study. Were you like committed? I'm like gonna 100% take vacation and then enjoy myself and I'll worry about the FE later. Was that what your mindset?
Yeah, I didn't study at all.
Okay.
We travel actually. My wife is from New York, so we travel to New York. And then my family is currently in Spain, so I didn't have my material, didn't have my books, not focused at all on studying.
Yeah. And then, you know what? I think that actually really helped you, because when you came back after your vacation and then you went back to that material, you were like processing a lot of it because you gave yourself some break to process that information that you studied during 3 months. Because, first of all, it's a lot of material that we have, right? It's 14 different subjects, and there's so much to learn under each subject. And so first you had to kind of get familiar with it, then you took a break, you let your brain process all of that, and then you went back to it and you were able to process it much better and then just reinforce those concepts. And I think that's what happened, and that's why everything kind of clicked for you.
Yeah, I would agree. Because when you're gradually losing your motivation because things are not really clicking in your brain, and so you're dragging that. And once you reset, I think you start fresh
Yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah, that's right. So while you were studying, Andres, did you do anything else that helped you, like to like recharge? Did you work out? Did you do anything else besides studying, or was it just work and studying?
I tried working out. Yeah, I did a little bit of exercise. I didn't get obsessed the first run. I did the second run. I wasn't doing anything else besides studying. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody,
Yeah.
but that's what I did. Um, I don't know. There were some weeks that I was just putting in more than 30 hours. Um, but yeah, my recommendation would be to have balance in your life. You cannot stop your life for for studying, you know.
Yeah, that's true. But sometimes it gets hard a little bit too, because I can relate to that when you said like the second one you were obsessive with studying, and I can relate to that a little bit too, because sometimes like like right now I'm like we talked about before the interview, I'm working on the mechanical afternoon course, and then first I did exactly the same thing. I did the first one for thermodynamics, right? And now that I'm diving into the second one, where it's like I'm really preparing the lecture, the problems, I'm obsessively doing it like every day. Like my team keeps bringing all these things, and I'm like, no, I'm like that, I'm focused on thermo. I wake up thermo, I go to sleep, it's thermo. It's weird. I don't recommend it. I never recommend that to you guys, but I can also at the same time relate to how I think some people, they just like that and they prefer that way. And I think, for me, like for example, right now that I'm doing thermo every day, I can, like when I'm relaxing or just having lunch, my brain is literally trying to solve problems. And I think that obsession helps you really reinforce the concepts and just understand it better overall.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me in the second run. I was always thinking of doing more problems. I was always thinking about the Yaffy all the time during work.
Yeah. Yeah.
As soon as I would get up, that's the first thing in my mind. I would try, if I have 15 minutes in the morning, I would just try to get some exercises done, some problems. Yeah, became obsessed.
Yeah. Yeah. And it worked. I mean, you passed on your first try, which is awesome.
Thankfully, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your schedule for the second one. How many months did you do that for?
So I scheduled my test for March 31st, and we came back from traveling the first week of January. I didn't start right away. I think, I started probably towards the second week. But after that, it was like a nonstop. And some weeks were more intense than others. Some weeks I would put in 3 hours per day, per weekday, and 8 to 10 hours on the weekends.
Wow.
And some weeks were a little more relaxed, 1 to 2 hours weekdays, and maybe 5 6 hours on the weekends.
Yeah. Did you feel burnout at the end or maybe mid of
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. I
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you do? Did you do anything or did you just ignore it? Because I can relate to both.
I mean, I just kept on going.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I was in a I don't think I was in my A game for sure. I was
Yeah.
really tired, but I just kept on going. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I don't think I would recommend it. I
Yeah.
think you gotta, the body needs exercise, and the body needs good rest and a good diet.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be my suggestion, even though that's not what I follow.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think at that point, even though when you burn out, you're like, I'm almost there. My exam is right there. I don't have time to take a break. I gotta keep going. Again, it wasn't really a choice in your head. It was like we have to keep going and we have to do this until we cross that finish line. And I think that's what it was. So you didn't really feel it that much. Now, when you took the FE afterwards, did you crash?
I crashed on my couch. Yeah, it was such a relief. But thankfully I didn't get sick or anything like that. I
Okay.
know that happens for some people.
Yeah.
It's just fine.
Okay. So you didn't feel tired or like exhaustion afterwards or anything like that?
I think I took a week really, really chill, really relaxed. So that helped.
Okay. All right. Okay. And let's see, study material. So let's go back to study material. So you took our course. Was there anything else that you used?
The practice exams.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But in terms of prep course, no, only your course.
Okay. And did you find it helpful? Or I know you already mentioned that you found it really helpful, but what are some of the things that you really liked about our courses that you felt like it really helped you pass your FE exam?
How structured it is, how organized it is. That's exactly what I needed. I needed kind of like a map of
Right.
all the content. Okay, what do I need to learn? And that's how you structure your course. I really like that.
Okay. And then how many practice exams did you take?
I took a good bunch. I would say 8, something like that.
Wow.
And they were not different. Sometimes, I think in total there were like 5 different exams,
Okay.
but I took them more than once.
I got you. That makes sense. Because I'm like, wait, how did you get 8 practice exams? I don't think there are
Is
that
there
many.
8 exams available?
Right. Yeah, so that's yeah. Okay, cool. So you took the practice exam that we recommend. So that would be by Islam, Giram,
Yeah,
and then Anthem. Did you take the blue
I took
one?
Anthem. Yeah, I took it
Anthem. Okay.
twice.
Okay. And then did you take our practice exam as well?
I did.
Okay. And then what was your average score on those?
Sometimes I would do really well, like 70, 80, and then sometimes I would do like really bad. At least for me, it was bad, like 55 or 60. But I have really good retention. So I would take it again a couple of days later and
Oh,
I would score like 95,
okay.
I would, you know, retain a lot of information.
Yeah. So you would learn from your mistakes and then try to take it again a couple days later.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, awesome. All right. And then now you went into your exam. So this is your first time, which means you have no idea what to expect. You've never taken the FE exam before. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. But that day, I told myself, you already put in the effort, you're done. There's nothing else that you could do. So that kind of cooled me a little bit, but at the same time, there was still kind of like an underlying anxiety, going in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't a stressful situation or anything like that. It's just fine.
Okay, cool. And then how was your exam overall? Like how did you feel? Like was it like when you left the exam, were you like, damn, that was difficult? Or was like, okay, that was fair? What was your reaction to the questions and the exam?
I thought I had failed for sure.
Oh wow.
But then I thought maybe I'm being too hard on myself. So
Mm,
I gave myself like, oh, maybe I have like a 50-50%. Um, but going back to the practice exams, I remember taking some tests and saying, I'm getting wrecked on this one. And then after I scored myself as like 60%. So probably that also happened during the
mm.
test. Like, no, I got destroyed and it wasn't that bad.
Okay. All right, awesome. Okay, and then let's see. So, did you have any strategy to take the exam? Like, did you just try to solve all the problems at once, or did you have like a strategy going in?
So I think I spoke with Pranita before the test, and she gave me kind of like a strategy, like, oh, go for the easy ones, then
Mm,
the second round go for the medium level or whatever.
yeah.
So I got in the test with that strategy in mind, but that didn't follow through. I was just all over the place.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it difficult for you to like skip a problem? Like why couldn't you follow that? Or what was your other strategy that worked?
I think I was just losing too much time. I was being really slow in the beginning, and then I was like, okay,
Mm.
I need to like speed it up somehow. And probably yeah, I got nervous, and I was just all over the place.
Wow. Okay. And then did you eventually like come down and or were you still nervous throughout the whole time?
No, I was pretty tight on time the entire test,
Really?
both
Wow. Okay.
morning and afternoon. Yeah.
Okay. How much time did you spend in the morning? Do you remember?
I think a little less than 3 hours. I would say like 2 hours and 45 minutes,
Okay. That's not
something
bad.
like
That's
that.
actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I've had students who would spend like 3 hours, I think, in the morning, and then they still pass the FE exam. There's
Hmm.
no rules of like doing,
No,
there's no
no.
right or wrong doing it.
Yeah.
It's just it's very something it's very important, like, to not let that stress you out, like the time and stuff, to just because that can really throw you off, but luckily you were still able to manage and still be able to pass
Yeah.
your FE exam, so that was good.
I had to
um
take an unscheduled break. That
oh
was really
yeah.
bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I couldn't hold it. So yeah, that took like probably like 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So you gotta
Yeah.
raise your hand, they come pick you up.
Right.
You gotta scan your hand, everything all over again. And to
Yeah.
come inside is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, so that would have taken at least 5, 10 minutes. I had this student, I think it was Beth. She did that. I think she did that in her PE exam. She passed her FE and her PE, and then she was actually saying in the interview, like, if you need to take a break to clear your head, to get some air, just do it. It's just 5, 10 minutes. It's just a quick reset. It's not gonna really affect you that much. It was really interesting, like, because, like, for me, like, I would be like, no way, I'm not taking a break. I'm gonna take advantage of every minute. But when she said that, I was like, that's pretty cool, because, like, I mean, she passed both of her exams, so it's like, but yeah, like, if you feel like, you're stressed, or like you're losing it a little bit, maybe it's good to just walk away for like quick 5 minute, and then just come back to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. If you
Yeah.
can afford it, yeah, go for it. I
Yeah.
have some colleagues, they finished their test and they still had like, an hour to spare. So
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that too. We had a student recently, she passed her FE exam, and she had like an hour and a half left. And I'm
well
like, how did you do that? Like, I finished right on the dot. Like maybe I had 2 minutes to just like review everything, make sure I answered everything, but that was it. Like, I literally was on time.
yeah. I
It's
remember
crazy.
answering a structural question and I had seconds in the clock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think I got it right. I mean,
Yeah.
it looked correct.
Wow. Wow. Second, that's crazy. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. All right. So now, a week later, you got your results back. How did that feel?
Good. It was such a relief. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But of course, the job is not it's not complete.
Right.
The ultimate goal is the PE.
Are you, are you
But
planning, are you planning to take it soon?
yeah, yeah, planning.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, whenever you're ready, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, give yourself some time. This was a big accomplishment. You achieved it, and it's huge. So celebrate it, right? Take some break, enjoy time with family and stuff. And you said you're in South Florida, so enjoy the beautiful weather that we have. And then when you're ready, you'll know. So,
yeah.
but don't wait too long, because you want to take it.
No, I
Yeah,
do want to take advantage of the momentum.
yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
while the material is still fresh as well, I think it's important to
correct.
take it soon. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. How did the passing the FE affected your life? Anything at work yet, or any promotions, or
Um. Yeah, I think now I'm at a company where everything's pretty structured, like all the positions, and I know that was definitely gonna hold me down if I didn't pass my FE or get my PE.
mm,
So yeah, I guess just more credibility at work, but at the same time I also took it for myself, put a lot of weight on it. Like, hey, you gotta be someone in life. So yeah.
okay. All right, that's awesome. Okay, last question. If a student comes up to you and asks you to list 3 things that really helps you pass your FE exam, what would you say to them?
Well, like I mentioned, you better be on your A game, and that means diet, exercise, good sleep, and then at least for me, I needed the prep course. and doing a lot of practice exams. I can't stress enough how important that is.
Yeah.
Because after the prep course, or during the prep course, you have the temptation that, oh, Kenza will solve it in the next video. So, but once you start taking the test and you're by yourself, nobody's holding your hand,
Right.
So that's how you really train for it.
All right, that's awesome. Okay, Andres, well, thank you so much for taking the time and doing this with me. I really appreciate it. It was really great talking to you. And again, it's very impressive what you have done.
Likewise, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Andres. And I'm sure you're going to do great in your PE. So we can't wait to have you back for the PE. So,
Oh, okay. That sounds great.
awesome.